Bobby Patterson. I want to thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your busy day to take a listen to this first inaugural broadcast or podcast for The Victim No More. And please bear with me. This is actually a new venture for me. I've never done podcasting before, so this platform will grow, will expand. But right now, I wanted to make sure that I got started because I was working on trying to perfect some certain things. And sometimes as that goes, we work so hard on trying to perfect certain things that we never get started. And in the process, we're wasting time. So I'm out here now. I've stepped off the boat, so to speak. I'm on the water. So nevertheless, this short first podcast is actually going to go into just a little bit of background as to how The Victim No More got started, what inspired it, what was the spark, so to speak. And it actually occurred about 2 years ago. I was running some errands around town, and I went through a predominantly what they may call black neighborhood. And in this neighborhood, there is a shopping center. And in this shopping center, of course, there are quite a few stores, quite a few businesses. And it was just something about this day that was a little bit different than others. My awareness was heightened, so to speak. Let's put it that way. And in the process of my awareness being heightened, I just went on ahead and just went inside the parking lot, went on ahead and turned into it, went and parked, and just sat there and observed. And in this shopping center, especially this particular section that I was sitting in, I had noticed something. And not that I haven't seen it before, not that I haven't read about it or heard about it, but once again, I'm dealing with this from a perspective of a heightened awareness. I'm sitting there and I noticed that there was a Chinese takeout restaurant, a nail salon. There was also I believe a dry cleaner, a rent-to-own business, which I really have a very high dislike for because of what it does to a family financially. And maybe perhaps one day I would do a show specifically dealing with the rent-to-own industry and why they put those businesses primarily in our neighborhoods. So maybe that's something to look forward to down the line. But the biggest business that stood out like a sore thumb was the Black Beauty Supply Store. And as I'm looking at these businesses, I'm noticing that the number one patrons, the number one individuals walking in and out of these businesses were black folk, or in this day and time, some of us don't like to use that term. We want to use African, or even some African Americans, and even some with a different level of awareness, so to speak, or even Moors. The bottom line is these were our melanated folk, our brothers and sisters that was walking in and out of these businesses. And it was a steady stream of income because I was looking at it from a business perspective. And then I went on ahead and just went on ahead and thought further that those businesses don't belong to us. So what does that mean? That these individuals who have planted these businesses within our neighborhoods are profiting off of us, but adding very little value. So in other words, they are making the money from us by planting these businesses in our neighborhoods, but they're taking that money into entirely different neighborhoods that they live in, where they buy their big houses, where they fund their children's college educations, and then they go on to further their business endeavors by creating more businesses to put in more neighborhoods that belong to us to exploit us even more. And here's the deal. Because of a lot of us not knowing any better and this learned behavior now, because this has been going on for generations and generations, we don't seem to have a problem with it. But I am very, very hopeful that our attitudes are going to change. And as I go further into the story, you'll see what I'm talking about, because I believe that if we do not tackle some issues within us, we're going to continue to be victims of this financial, economic genocide. But I want to turn my attention very quickly to the biggest business in this particular shopping center, which was the Black Beauty Supply Store. And I call it black because that was the consumer base. Wasn't nobody else walking in there. So here it is, our sisters, our mothers, our daughters was walking in and out of this business. Getting their weave, getting their extensions, getting, their relaxers. And I'm not the individual to try to judge on whether or not, our sisters should be wearing weaves or getting relaxers. My only thing is from a perspective of health, especially with the relaxers. Over a period of time, it's just my belief that if you continue to put those particular chemicals on your scalp, eventually those chemicals will leak, if you will, into your system and find their way to the lymph nodes, which is right up under the armpits, which lead to other health issues, namely cancer. So that's my main concern. So I am a big advocate as far as natural hair and just going, this term of going natural, when in reality we just need to just go, it's really going back to who we really are. But that's a different topic all within itself. So my concern has always been health. But to tell a woman what she need to do with her hair, I'm not in that particular conversation. But the conversation that I am in is that if there's a business that's going to produce those particular type of products that cater to our people, we should be the number one business owners in that particular arena. And that's where my issue is, because guess what? And we all know this, we're not. I think it's a very, very small percentage of us who actually occupy that space as far as owners of Black Beauty Supply stores. I don't even believe it reaches 10%. But there are billions of dollars that are made each and every year off of our labor, off of our monies that go inside these businesses day in and day out. So I'm watching this, and it was really disturbing me, because this is the pure definition of economic genocide. We are the number one consumers in this nation, and we have to change that if we're going to survive. And so I'm going to go a little bit further as far as the story is concerned, because a year later I go back to the same shopping center, and I'm looking at this same beauty supply store. And this day was a little bit different because I decided to go in. I just needed to observe exactly what was going on. And of course, there were plenty of us in there. But there was something just a little bit different now, because the business has expanded. I mean, you name it, it was in there, from hair weaves, relaxers, extensions, even clothes. So they got it in there. They know what to do to cater up to us. But in the back of this business, there was an actual salon. And do you care to guess who were the number one workers in this salon? It wasn't the owners. That's a big clue. It was us. It was our sisters. So without trying to be too obvious, I actually pulled one of the employees over to the side. And, I started asking a few questions. And, I asked her, I said, look, I'm not trying to pry too much into the business, but I just have to ask you out of curiosity, and me, being an entrepreneur, since 2004, this is a natural question for me right now. Wouldn't you find it better if you and these ladies were to actually just get together, put a plan together, and go and open a salon on your own, as to which you do not have to share any of your profits? Matter of fact, you don't even make any profit right now. You're actually making wages, because she made me aware that they were employees. So they was making X amount of dollars an hour, which was incredible to me. And I'm a big advocate that profits are better than wages. You pay your bill with wages, but you build assets. You build a fortune on profits. And her answer to me, with the look in her eyes, was amazing, because she sounded very proud to be an employee there. And it was almost, when I had brought up the suggestion of her and her friends owning their own salon, it was almost as if I was speaking a foreign language. It was almost as if fear had glazed over. And that really bothered me. And I really felt bad. And it was almost like a righteous indignation had risen in me at that particular point. And it really drove home the need for us to, first of all, I understand we got a lot going on in this country. You know, for anyone to deny that racism, white supremacy doesn't exist is either completely oblivious and don't have a brain, or they have literally been assimilated to the point where they don't even recognize who they're looking at in the mirror. But for us, as great of a people that we are, not has been, that's already documented, and the truth is coming out every day, but we still are that people. And so in order for us to no longer be victimized, we got to understand that the victor still lies within us, but we have to make the decision to be victors instead of victims. And this is pretty much where the victim no more came from. And this is where we're going to build from here on out. And yes, there's going to be times that I'm going to deal with some issues that we don't like to talk about, but it's going to have to be dealt with only if you're interested in being free. Only if you're interested. So I look forward to, taking this journey with each and every one of you. And once again, I want to thank everyone for taking their time out of their busy schedule to even give this a listen. It's a short podcast, maybe about 15 minutes right now, and it will expand from 15 to maybe 30 minutes to an hour. I will have different guests on from time to time, especially business owners, to encourage, hey, look, this can be done. And a lot of times we think about, well, what can I do? What kind of business can I start? Well, understand, I know that business ownership as we know it is not for everybody, but everybody has the ability to produce another income. Because if we haven't noticed what's going on in this country already, more than one income is needed to be able to just live decently in this country in this day and time. But for those of us who know we are business owners, for those of us who understand and feel that calling each and every day, for those of us who are sitting at the job and is getting sick each and every day because we are there. And we know that we are supposed to be doing something and building our own futures, not building somebody else's. Then this is the clarion call to you. And we're going to deal with these issues. We're going to deal with not only the business aspect, but even more so what's going on within. Because we can point fingers all day long, but the first finger should be pointed to the person who we're looking at in the mirror each and every day. That's only if we're interested in being free. I know we can do it. It's in us to do it. Reason being because there are generations that are dependent on us to get it done. And they are no longer accepting excuses. That's the bottom line. So, once again, I want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out to listen to the Victim No More podcast, the very first one, the initial one. And we're going to build from here, fam. I look forward to taking this journey. So, as I close out here, be blessed, be prosperous, and be the victor.